Hello, my name is Kelsey Zelma Herks, and this week we're going to be talking about The Winter's Tale because last week I got Polina as my character that I am. Winter's Tale is an odd play. It makes no damn sense. Compels me though. It starts out, King Leontes of Sicilia is having a party for his visiting buddy, King Polixenes. I'm probably going to screw up some of the pronunciations of these names. Polixenes has been in town for 9 months and just about ready to go back home to Bohemia to see his people and his son and all of that. You know, it's been a while. But Leontes is like, no, stay, please. And Polixenes is pretty adamant that he has to go. So Leontes is like, my beloved pregnant wife, Hermione, will you convince my dear friend to stay longer? And she does her best to convince Polixenes, and her best turns out to be good enough. In fact, maybe too good. And Leontes immediately suspects that Polixenes and his wife have been behind his back all this time. I mean, Leontes is just flat out wrong, but Hermione does seem to be a very friendly, clever sort of woman, and what woman hasn't had their friendliness and kindness mistaken for flirting? It just makes me kind of sad and seems to say something about their relationship, that he never noticed that this is just how she is with friends. He grabs his son and is like, you look like me. But do you? Leontes continues to talk himself into believing that Hermione is cheating on him and instructs a servant to poison his buddy. The servant is like, nah. And instead of killing Polixenes, warns him to get out of town. And then Leontes discovers that his buddy has escaped. This somehow escalates his suspicions from Polixenes my wife to Polixenes is trying to kill me and steal my crown, because that is a normal progression of logic. So Leontes openly accuses Hermione, denies him. Leontes sends her to prison, and Hermione protests a little, but you know, noble to the last, is basically just like, okay, you're clearly going through some shit. I'm going to just go to prison until Mercury's not in retrograde anymore and you come to your senses. Some time passes and Hermione gives birth to her baby girl in prison, and her buddy, Polina, me apparently, talks the jailer into letting her take the baby. Meanwhile, the king is doing not great. He's clearly descending into some kind of madness, and his son, the prince, is also sick and has been ever since his mother was taken away. Polina comes in and bullies her way into being seen by the king, and even is like, if I were a man, I would fight you for her honor. And she shows him the baby and is like, look, this is your baby. You're wrong. You're making a huge mistake. And the king is like, I'll burn you as a witch. And she's like, try it. I don't give a King Shitstain. And all you bitches in here in the court need to stop enabling him. Polina out. And she exits. Okay, yeah, fine. I can see why that's the role I got on the quiz last week. So Leontes decides this would be a good time to put Hermione on trial, and Hermione, having just given birth, denies the charges, but is like, look, if you want to kill me, just do it. Like, by proving that you don't trust me, you've already pretty much ruined my life. And with that, they bring out the sealed prophecy of the Oracle of Apollo at Delphi. He has on someone to the Oracle back when he was first suspicious. It takes a while. And the Oracle is like, yeah, it's all good, man. Your wife is faithful, your buddy's cool, baby is yours, and your son will definitely die if you don't fix this. And the king is like, no, that doesn't sound right. I don't believe it. And he wants to proceed with prosecuting Hermione. But just then, they all get word that the prince has died. So, Apollo works fast, apparently. And then Hermione dies in grief. Or does she? We'll get to that later. And Polina gets another banger of a monologue telling Leontes what a shithead he's being. And finally, Leontes agrees, yes, I am indeed a shithead. And then we leave the Sicilian court and follow the baby, Perdita, who has been entrusted into the care of a gentleman whose name you do not need to know because he is not long for this world. He arrives by ship at the coast of Bohemia. Yes, the region formerly known as Bohemia is in fact landlocked. Don't worry about it. He sets the baby down and turns to the audience and is like, wow, isn't that stuff wild? And then, a bear shows up. And here we get the most powerful stage direction in all of Shakespeare. Exit. Pursued by bear. This play is, tonally challenging, to say the least. And we are now firmly in the comedy zone. Yeah, it is a tonal shift so seismic that you cannot do it by halves. A tragedy which transforms into a comedy halfway through by a comedic death. It's like the opposite of Romeo and Juliet, which is a comedy that transforms into a tragedy halfway through by a decidedly uncomic death. And the baby is then found by a shepherd and his son, known only as Clown. And the clown is like, yo, I just saw a guy get ripped to shreds by a bear. I might never be the same. And then the personified spirit of time appears and tells us all that some time has passed and Princess Perdita has grown up as the shepherd's daughter. Polixenes has a son who's all grown up too, and Leontes is still kicking around, but not doing too hot. We meet the rogue of the party, Autolycus. He's like a walking filler episode. We learn very quickly that this guy has a really high charisma modifier and his stealth is unreal. He scams the clown, follows him to the big sheep shearing party. And then we meet grown-up Perdita and her boyfriend Florizel. He is in disguise at the moment as a shepherd, but he is secretly the Prince of Bohemia, the son of Polixenes. Remember, Polixenes is the visiting king from Act 1 that Hermione was accused of cheating with but didn't. That's Florizel's dad. But Perdita knows he's a prince. He's not keeping that from her. This isn't a Giselle situation. Perdita seems pretty pragmatic and is worried that his dad, a king, is not going to be too wild about their class differences. But Florizel, who is a prince and has likely never suffered any serious consequences from any of his actions in his entire life, insists that it's going to be fine and don't even worry about it. It's gonna be fine. It's fine. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. The sheep shearing party happens. It's all dancing and drinking, and the rogue Autolycus joins up and sings a little song, and everyone has a marvelous time. After the party, Florizel officially asks Perdita's guardian for her hand in marriage. Everyone is thrilled, and then this random dude is like, hey lad, don't you have a father that would probably like to know that you're doing this, that you're making this massive life decision? And Florizel is like, don't worry about him. And the random dude is like, surprise! It was me, the king, your dad, all along, and you were in big trouble, mister. And your girlfriend's in trouble, and your girlfriend's dad is in trouble. You're all in serious trouble. And then he leaves. Perdita is like, I told you so! I told you, man! And Florizel is just, he's useless. He seems fine with the situation. So a plan is launched for them to escape to Sicilia. There's some more hijinks with the rogue Autolycus and the clown and the shepherd. Basically the clown is like, hey dad, if you tell the king that Perdita is a foundling and not really your daughter, then her actions, namely seducing the prince, will not reflect badly on you or us. So that's the plan. So we're back in Sicilia now with King Leontes, who is still in mourning. His court is like, my dude, you gotta remarry. It's time. But Paulina is like, no, don't. Not until I tell you. Your wife was too good for you. We find out later that she maybe knows something that he doesn't, or maybe not. It's up to the director. Florizel and Perdita arrive at court and are welcomed for like literally just a moment, and then pretty much immediately the Sicilian court gets word from Polixenes. It's like, hey, my son ran off with a shepherdess. He's in big trouble. Please don't invite them in. Then the scene ends. The next part is probably the most disappointing part of the entire play. It is all tell, no show. We hear from a series of nameless nobles that the shepherd went to King Polixenes and told him that his daughter was actually found on the coast of Bohemia, and the trinkets that were in her basket reveal that she is the missing princess. Everyone is thrilled. The marriage is now legitimized. The nobles apparently are pretty excited. But boy, it would have been so nice to see a father reunite with his child after missing her entire life due to his own mistakes and actions, huh? Shakespeare? Wouldn't that have been a nice scene to see? Will, why did you do this to us? Why didn't you let us see the coolest part of the play? Anyway, the nobles then go talk about this cool statue that Paulina commissioned of the late Queen Hermione. Apparently, it's a really good statue, and they all want to go see the unveiling. It's like better than lifelike. It's an incredible statue. So, like, Paulina's in love with Hermione, right? I can't be the only one seeing. Anyway, there is a quick scene with the shepherd, the clown, and the rogue. The shepherd has been given a lot of money for taking good care of the princess for 16 years, which honestly is pretty cool of Leontes, and they hire the rogue. The end. So let's go to the statue unveiling. Everyone is there. Paulina unveils the statue, and it is a good statue. It looks just like her. Leontes is very moved by it, and Paulina is like, I could make it move if you like, and everyone would like. So Paulina calls upon the music to bring the statue to life. The statue comes to life, and it's Hermione back from the grave. So there are two options here. Either this is like a Galatea situation. Paulina commissioned an incredibly detailed and lifelike statue of her dear, beloved dead friend. And then at Paulina's behest, the statue magically transformed from marble to flesh. Or Hermione has been hunkering down in secret with her gal pal Paulina for the last 16 years and has decided that it's time to come out of hiding now that her daughter has been found. Either way, it's pretty gay. That's all I'm saying. Okay, that's Winter's Tale. That's the end of Winter's Tale. I don't know if I like it. I think that it's very disjointed, but unlike some of the other disjointed Shakespeare plays, it feels kind of, I don't know. I don't know what was going on there. Like, was he just trying to sell tickets with all the pastoral shit in the middle? Like, I don't know. I think that this play is not for me. I have no interest in the pastoral stuff. Perdita's kind of boring. Hermione is interesting. I think the like jealousy that seems to come out of nowhere and is almost like magical, I think that's kind of interesting. I don't know what I would do if I were directing this play. I'd figure it out. I'd have to figure something out. But what do you guys think? Do you like the play? Are you familiar with it? I'd be really interested to hear if anyone has any strong emotions about it. But I do see why I got Paulina. I understand it now. Anyway, if you haven't already subscribed, then you should do that, and go ahead and give this video a like if you are interested in helping me out. I will see you next week. Bye! Okay, fine, I see it.